This is Miss Luper's first hour class, and they are studying about Jimmy Carter's inauguration. Here are the reports from the students about Jimmy Carter's inauguration.
This is William Mohan from QBIX reporting from Washington, D.C., our state capital. I'm about to see the 39th president take office. This man was unknown to many people in our great country, and now he is taking his oath in the highest and most important office of all. This man's name? Oh, it's Mr. Jimmy Carter, who not long ago was the governor of Georgia. Here it is. Mr. Carter repeats after the Chief Justice Perkins, and now it is over. Mr. Carter shakes hands with the Chief Justice and kisses his wife. I really believe this man is very happy. There were more surprises after the parade. Instead of riding, he walked, him and his wife both, 1/2 of a mile. I really think this shows him being close to the people of the United States. This is William Mohan from Washington, D.C., QBIX reporting.
This is Kathy Shaw from TOMH Channel 2, Phoenix, Arizona. I'm here in Washington, D.C. to witness the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. It is a cold 25 degrees outside with a chance of snow, while Gerald Ford waits in the White House as the last 2 hours go by. Jimmy Carter is waiting at the Blair House, impatiently waiting for his inauguration. Before 9 this morning, President-elect Carter went to church with his wife and daughter. The First Baptist Church is where it took place, and the sermon was led by Reverend Kidden. People deserted Georgia to witness the inauguration of their own Jimmy. President-elect Carter is in good spirits, but why shouldn't he? Today is the day. With an interview with Art, he said they should have the inauguration just like they have the Super Bowl. 1 year in Miami, 1 year in Los Angeles, and so on. It may be a good idea, but will we ever know? Barbara Walters then said, why should we have the inauguration in January? Why don't we have it on July 4th and celebrate the birth of our country and a new president? Carter and his wife have now left the Blair House and walking to the White House and to have coffee with the Fords and Rockefellers. The Fords and Carters have left from the White House to go to the Capitol. Mondale has been sworn in and under oath, and Jimmy Carter is now taking his oath as president. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have our 39th President of the United States, and as Carter promised, only a 13-minute speech. He was sworn in at 11:03 Central Time. 21 cannons just blew. The parade has started, and the new President and the new First Lady have gotten in the car. Folks, something extraordinary just happened. President Carter and his wife have just gotten out of the car and are walking to the White House. This is the first time since Thomas Jefferson took his oath. They'll be walking 1.5 miles. This will be history. Tonight, President Carter and Mrs. Carter will go to 7 different inaugural parties. This is Kathy Shaw, TOMH TV, Channel 2 from Phoenix, Arizona in Washington.
The inauguration, 77. Coming direct from Washington, this is Raymond Alexander of KDTV News in Kentucky. Mr. Carter, who stayed at the Blair Hotel in Washington before going to be sworn in as the 39th President of the United States, said his daughter Amy will be going to a public school in Washington. Mr. Carter went to church that morning before being sworn in that day to pray in the private session he and his cabinet members had at the church, as most presidents pray before going into office. It was 25 degrees in Washington, and everyone was happy for Jimmy Carter. He took a train to Washington called the Peanut Special. He is the 3rd Baptist to be in the White House and the first Southern president in 100 years. He will be getting $200,000 a year and $50,000 for expenses. He and his wife had coffee and donuts with President Ford and his wife, Betty, as if saying, welcome to our house. When Mr. Carter was getting sworn in, he repeated after Chief Justice Berger, saying he would do his job as President of the United States and will, to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. The inauguration parade was shocking and unexpected. President Carter chose to walk. President Carter took a look around the White House because he has never seen all of it before. Then he visited his president's office to take which belonged to him, for better or worse. "It is a comfortable chair," he remarked, and said, "Enough chit-chat, let's get down to work." Although Mr. Carter had a good speech at the end of the sworn-in ceremony, he did not have an ideal in his speech about a better United States. This is Raymond Alexander coming from KDTV, Channel 7 News in Kentucky.
The inauguration of Jimmy Carter. This is Jeremy Ginley reporting from KOTC, Denver, Colorado. We are in Washington, D.C., where Jimmy Carter is just about to be the 39th President of the United States. Jimmy Carter was the first president to walk to the White House. When he got inside, he sat down and talked to President Ford and his wife. Later on, they showed the inside of the White House, which has 132 rooms. Right now, President-elect Jimmy Carter is just about to be the 39th President of the United States. Chief Justice Perkins is now reading the oath to Mr. Carter. Jimmy Carter is now the President of the United States. Later on tonight, President Carter is going to 7 parties, which he will make a speech and dance. We all know that President Carter will be one of the great presidents. This is Jeremy Ginley reporting from KOTC, Denver, Colorado.
This is your anchorman, Ronnie Whitener, from KKOK News, Channel 7, Washington. This is Jimmy Carter's day after fighting a long 2 years. It is very cold. The spectators have blankets to try to stay warm. Jimmy will take oath at noon. After the inauguration, Jimmy Carter will have lunch with his family instead of Congress as usual. After lunch, the President's family will drive up Pennsylvania Avenue. Carter will walk. It is a little more than a mile. No other president has ever done this. He will be our first Southern president in over 100 years. Jimmy and his family are now walking from the Blair House, where they have been staying, to meet the Fords at the White House for coffee and donuts. They are now inside the White House. It is only Mr. Carter's third time to go inside the White House. It is now 10:30. The ceremony will take place in 1.5 hours. This is Ronnie Whitener, KKO News, Channel 7. We'll keep you informed.
This is Ken Dietering, WKTV, South Bend, Indiana, reporting from Washington, D.C. Today is the day when Walter Mondale and Jimmy Carter get sworn into office and say their oath. Gerald Ford and Nelson Rockefeller leave office. Jimmy Carter got up at 6 a.m. and he did his exercise and ate breakfast. Then he left for the Blair House, and then at 10:31 he came out of the Blair House, walked with his wife 150 yards over to the White House to have coffee with Gerald Ford and his wife. Jimmy Carter will be the first president from Southern State in over 100 years. Then Gerald Ford woke up in the morning as president and will go to sleep as a private citizen. As you know, Gerald Ford left on a plane after a 21-gun salute and wished Jimmy Carter good luck. Gerald Ford was leaving for California. After being sworn in as president, Jimmy Carter's first words was to congratulate Gerald Ford and then give a speech on his presidency. Walter Mondale and Jimmy Carter were sworn in at the same time after each other. When I interviewed them, they both said that it was hard getting used to their new jobs, but it was a great feeling. Jimmy Carter then went upstairs and sat down in his president's chair. He thought it was quite comfortable. Just 2 years ago, Jimmy Carter gave his first speech down in Louisiana on being president, but no one cared or listened. But now, 2 years later, people are caring and listening more than ever because Jimmy Carter is the 39th President of the U.S. After being sworn in, Jimmy and his wife decided to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue instead of riding in a car. The crowd loved it. The Carters and Mondales will be attending 7 parties tonight and will be the first families in history living in the White House together. This is Ken Dietering reporting from Washington.
At 5 minutes till 10, the President and his Vice President and their wives are waiting for the Carters for coffee and donuts. In 1976, Jimmy Carter made his first significant step to being elected President of the United States by winning the Ohio Democratic Caucus. He is the first Southern President in 128 years. This morning, Governor Carter had scrambled eggs for breakfast and as is the custom, went to church. We are now waiting for Governor Carter and his wife to start across the street from the Blair House, where they stayed last night to the White House, where they will have coffee and donuts. It is 10:30, and I can see a huge crowd of people coming this way, with Governor Carter and his wife in the middle. The President and Vice President are now waiting to receive the Carters with their wives. Reporters are taking pictures of Ford, Rockefeller, and the Carters. They are now moving into the White House Blue Room for coffee. This is DDT, Channel 13 TV reporter John Powell, signing off from the northwest steps of the White House.
This is Donna Weekly broadcasting from VZXY Channel 12, San Antonio, Texas. Thursday morning, January 20th, 1977, thousands of people gathered around the steps of the Lincoln Memorial for prayer services, with Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. as the speaker. Earlier that morning, the Carters went to the First Baptist Church in Washington. 17,000 people showed up for the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. His cabinet members did not come. Yesterday was the first time Carter's children had ever been to the White House. They sent over 300,000 y'all-come invitations to the people of the United States who worked. The night before last, the Rockefellers stayed with the Fords at the White House. The Carters and Mondale stayed at the Blair House. Jim Kincaid made up a song for Carter that he sang when he was on his way to Washington. 3 minutes after 11, Carter took oath of office. Carter is now the 39th President of the United States. This is Donna Weekly reporting from VZXY, Channel 12, San Antonio, Texas.
This is David Pauly for KNYC TV in New York City. The day of James Carter's destiny arrived yesterday. It started in the morning when he left Blair House, where he had stayed the night before, to walk across the street to the White House to have coffee with the Fords. Afterwards, a procession of cars took the Carters and other dignitaries to the Capitol for the inaugural ceremonies. At 11:55 a.m., after the Naval Band and the choir did the Battle Hymn of the Republic, Walter Mondale was sworn in as Vice President by the Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill. Then, at 12 noon, James E. Carter was sworn in as President of the United States by Chief Justice Warren Burger. He then gave a 13-minute speech, one of the shortest in history, and for the first time the President was not wearing a tuxedo and top hat, but a business suit. He and his wife Rosalind then got in a black limousine to head the inaugural parade. But as the car turned onto Constitution Avenue, the Carters got out of their car and started to walk up the parade route. They walked 1.5 miles up Constitution and Pennsylvania Avenues, the first time a president had ever done this. Then, from a booth on Pennsylvania Avenue, President Carter watched as bands and floats representing every state marched in the parade. Oklahoma was represented by the Woodward High School Band. The day was then topped off by the 7 inaugural parties that were all visited by the President. Mrs. Carter wore the same gown she wore when Jimmy became governor of Georgia in 1971. In the last building, an armory, were half the population of Plains who had arrived on what had been the first passenger train through Plains in over 25 years. And that ended the day that a peanut farmer from Georgia became the 39th President of the United States.
This is Adele Baylock reporting from TAMA-TV, New Orleans, Louisiana. The inauguration of Jimmy Carter was held yesterday, January 20th, 1977. Over 17,000 people came to see the inauguration. Jimmy Carter's children and cabinet members were not there to see it. President Carter stated that during the campaign he found the days long, but sometimes shortened by the staff. President Carter sent 300,000 "You All Come" invitations to the people who work in the United States. President Carter and his wife walked to the White House. In the White House, President-elect Carter had coffee with President Ford. At 3 minutes after 11, President Carter took his oath of office. Afterwards, he and his wife walked 1.5 miles in front of the inauguration parade. Now we have a new president, Jimmy Carter, a Democrat. This is Adele Baylock reporting from TAMA-TV, New Orleans, Louisiana.
This is Robert Hood from
From NCS News, President Inauguration 77. Jimmy Carter comes to Washington. Weather, 25 degrees, sunny outside. The stands are so very crowded, and so many people are invited. 17,000 people. Carter went first to First Baptist Church this morning. 12 o'clock morning, Washington time. It started in a big parade. Carter made a train to take all the people from Plains, Georgia, called the Peanut Special. He'll be the first Southern president in the United States in 100 years. He walked 2 blocks from the Lincoln House and to the White House. At 12 o'clock Washington time, he was sworn in by Mr. Burger. They had parades all day long, and he partied all night long. Today, he'll be still celebrating.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Evan Burns from KUSS Channel 1 News in Washington. For the next 45 minutes, you'll have an opportunity to listen to a group of folks. This is the Big AA, 3432, coming to you from Washington, D.C., where we will be for the inauguration. It is cold, 25 degrees at the state capitol, where we are waiting for the president to arrive. The president arrives with his wife, a lady of great power for her husband, who will be the 39th president of the United States in a few minutes. First, the Vice President Mondale is being sworn in. Let me give you a brief summary of our next president's background. Carter has been in Congress 26 years. He has one daughter whose name is Amy. Carter says Amy will attend public school. The president's speech begins. He talks about 13 minutes, but didn't have very much to say. Okay? So this is the Big AA, time 3432, coming from the White House. This is 77. This is Scott Siddle from WAAS-TV in Washington. Our ceremony is open today as the Speaker of the House gave the oath to Walter Mondale, a citizen of Minnesota. He stood in front of the podium as thousands of onlookers watched. Carter was next as Warren Earlberger administrates the oath of honor to President-elect Jimmy Carter. Carter, a Georgian governor, was given a 21-gun salute as he finished his oath. And Carter, at age 52, is the first president since 1974 to be elected by the people. And he opened with a statement that, for myself and my nation, I want to thank my predecessor for what he has done. And as Ford stood, the crowd applauded loudly, and that was the most part of the whole ceremony. As Carter spoke these words, 2 centuries ago, our nation was a milestone, and we shot the Ford was taken as he was saying this, and we cannot afford to drift, and our confident and compassionate continent is to stay alive, and it's the absolute and the weak and the human dignity is being had. Carter went on to say that he added that our nation can be strong abroad only if we are strong at home, and we will fight our wars against poverty and ignorance and injustice. Carter wants to abolish nuclear arms, and people stood in trees as he watched. His 30-minute speech was far from stirring, and the weather was quite cold. This is Scott over. Hello, this is HBM, Channel 13 News, coming directly from Frederick, Kentucky, and now Billy Mitchell. In today's news on the date of January 20th, inauguration took place in Washington, D.C. President-elect Jimmy Carter swore in to become the United States president. This makes our 39th president. The address he made to the United States was rather short. He didn't make any comments to the United States. When all of this was taking place, I had the opportunity to visualize ex-President Ford. It seemed like he was unhappy. I talked to ex-President Ford. His comments were, I'm speaking to run again in 1980. I built this nation a little better. Meanwhile, President Carter and family had grins on their face as usual. Ex-President Ford will attend the bean coffee drop open while President Carter will get ready for his big day in office. This is AHBN News, signing off. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wendy Hayes, and I'm reporting to you live from Ava's Alaska KATV Channel 5. And January 12th, 1977, today Jimmy Carter took oath. Today Jimmy Carter takes oath to the great pride in his family, especially his mother. Mr. Ford and his wife attended the inauguration of Jimmy Carter, but Ford's cabinet was not there. And Ford will have to fly back to California on a helicopter along with Tiffany. I hope Jimmy Carter says what he is going to do. He will bring us through some changes in the next 4 years. This is Karen Chang from KCTV that covers the inauguration of our 39th president of the United States. Jimmy Carter became one of the first presidents inaugurated in the nation's first century. At 7 a.m., the interdenominational prayer was given at the Lincoln Memorial. At 9:30, the President-elect Carter and Mrs. Carter had coffee at the White House with President and Mrs. Ford. At 10:30, the inaugurational ceremony at the Capitol began. The oath was administered by the Chief Justice of the United States, Warren E. Burger. At 12:15, the inaugural prayer began, and at 8 p.m., inaugural ball began at the 7 site. This is Karen Chang from KCTV's Live Stream. This is Kristen Ryan from NYTV covering the inauguration of our 39th president of the United States, President Jimmy Carter. The response to accident, Jimmy Carter took the president's chair just 2 minutes past the 29 noon. Chief Justice Warren E. Burger gave the oath to the former governor of Georgia, while House Speaker Thomas Jefferson of Massachusetts administered the oath to Vice President Mondale previous to the presidential oath. After the oath for president, a 21-gun salute sounded from the Army Plane on the Capitol grounds. Next came the song, Hand to the Chief, and then the president started his short 12-minute speech. the 35th of George Washington. His speech started out to myself and our nation. I want to thank my predecessor for all his services to our land. He then went on and said, let's create together a new national spirit of unity and trust. And then he went on and said he promised many things to urge the best start to the other things. His speech was a little more than 1,000 words, but still seemed to satisfy the estimated crowd of about 150,000. Jimmy Carter, the first chief executive from the deep South, and then 28 years from Blair Hotel. However, his brother afterwards, President Carter was very uptight. After the service, Carter and his wife Rosalind walked hand in hand down Pennsylvania Avenue in the crowd that followed his inaugural address. Ford now leaves Washington after 25 years as a congressman, one as the vice president and 2.5 as president. Carter, our new town president, made his first public appearance as president today, and this day will not end until sometime after 2 a.m. Friday morning, as the president will visit several inaugural parties tonight. This is NYTV, signing off. This is Clifford Bear with TCB News and what I saw and thought from 1977 inauguration of Jimmy Carter. It all started out as a very happy and joyous occasion, with singing, parties, and parades in honor of President-elect. After a couple of nights of celebration and fun, it all got serious on Thursday, January 20th by 11 o'clock, with the swearing-in of Vice President Walter Mondale and President-elect Jimmy Carter. First came Walter Mondale, and then came the moment everybody's been waiting for. 39th President, Mr. Jimmy Carter. Mr. Carter talked about world peace and how he plans to help this world come more close together. He also said some of the good things that the Ford administration did while in office, and how he plans to carry that on. And then came the 12-gun salute from the native-born Georgians, which ended the final end of the Vice President and President. After the final end of the two, there were parades and horses and floats and clowns in their honor, with President Jimmy Carter and his wife and child holding hands leading all down the streets of Pennsylvania Avenue. In all, I think it was a very good and exciting inauguration of our 39th president. I guess you get the feeling of world peace and a better country in 1977. This is Clifford Bear with TCB, reporting for Washington, D.C. TCB moving down to Black News. In news today, Carter just going down to the White House. And now President Mr. Carter went into office today with a period of Thursday, Mr. Carter was being inaugurated by important people in the White House. Mr. Carter went to the White House with his daughter, and his wife, and his two sons, sister, brother, and his wife, and his wife. It is a parade of importance. Secret Service meetings from all over the place. And this is CCTV moving down Black News. It's like down here. Evan Burns here, live from Washington, where Vice President Mondale is taking his oath. In just a minute, President Carter will be taking his. And here's the President now. He's making his opening speech. If we look to the President's right, we see Mrs. Carter and their lovely daughter Amy Carter. Sitting next to them are Mr. and Mrs. Ford. And the President is finished now, and Jimmy Carter is officially the 39th President of the United States. And now we'll hear the national anthem, which will be played by the U.S. Marine Band. Looks like there's a pretty good crowd out here today. As we look, we see President Carter shaking hands with his friends and new cabinet members. As we look now, Mr. and Mrs. Ford are leaving on their helicopter, where they will go on in Southern California, where they will play some golf and just relax for a while. Well, most people are leaving to come around here now, so we think we'll get on out here too. So this is Evan Burns live to Washington, KUSS Channel 1 News. Good day. This is Rob Mann from WETV, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Live from Washington, D.C. now. The day January 20th, 1977. Jimmy Carter became 39th President of the United States. The new chief was sworn in 3 minutes after Vice President-elect Walter Mondale. Mr. Carter promised to try to remove all nuclear weapons from the face of the earth during his 4-year term in office. He also promised to create more jobs for the jobless. He also commented that he would try to get this country back on its feet and create a self-dependent United States. Chief Justice Warrenberg admitted those of office Jimmy Carter as the 39th President at 11:10 Oklahoma time. Mr. Carter became the first president to be elected from the Deep South in more than 100 years. The President Ford was looking very sadly, President Ford was very saddened by having to leave the office that he enjoyed for more than 2.5 years. So President Ford was the first president elected by the people, and we all wish him the best of luck. During one of the parties after Jimmy Carter was elected, his wife wore the same dress that she wore during his 6 years ago after he won the governor of Georgia. And that's WETV News Pittsburgh signing off. This is Reginald Robinson from KULA reporting the President's inauguration. And he said in his speech that he would try to remove the nuclear weapons from the earth, and said that he was going to improve his government system. President Robinson signing out. Good evening, welcome to WXYZ News, Jennifer Allen reporting. Thousands and thousands of people gathered in Washington yesterday to be part of the President's inauguration of Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, the first and the First Lady, Mrs. Carter, and daughter Amy, were all proud as they rode down Pennsylvania Avenue in a long black limousine along with former President Gerald Ford and former First Lady Mrs. Ford. The President was sworn into office by Chief Justice Warrenberg, and President Carter took oath on a Bible that was given to him by his mother. After the President was sworn into office, he brought to the people his inaugural address. Starting out by thanking former President Ford for what he has done, and then went on with his address. Later, the President and members of his family took a 40-minute walk in the inaugural parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. We now have a new President in the House and in the White House, and whoever thought that we would get a Southern peanut forming office. This is Jennifer Allen with WXYZ News in Washington. With CDTV News in Hawaii on Channel 18. I'm here in front of the White House waiting on our new president to arrive. President Jimmy Carter has now arrived with his wife, who is very proud to welcome her husband. Jimmy Carter, who has become our new president at 60 years old, he's our 39th president in the United States. Carter said his speech while thousands of people are standing in a cold listening to him. Jimmy Carter, the president's brother, said a few words about his brother, Jimmy Carter. Rickenbell will be in the president's cabinet as an attorney general. A reporter went to Carter's mother's home and stood with her while she talked about her son's childhood. Now, President Carter has gone into the White House to have lunch with his family. Carter did not invite any of Ford's cabinet members to have lunch with them. Ford and his wife have gotten on the helicopter to go to the airport. It is getting pretty chilly out here, so I will be leaving. This is Clara Luper with CDTV News saying, have a good day. This is Benny Houston at the KKAD Channel 3 News here in Washington, D.C. The inauguration of Jimmy Carter. It took place Thursday, January 20th, 1977. The 39th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. He was a man from Plains, Georgia. He grew up on a peanut farm, picking 15, maybe 20 bags of peanuts a day. His mother said she remembered him as not being a very active child, or a child that gets into a lot of trouble. He was just a normal child. His mother also remembered paying him 25 cents for every bucket of water he took over hence to the people picking peanuts. Jimmy Carter now, the President-elect. But in about 2 hours, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Warren E. Burger, will swear in the President. Vice President Mondale did not receive as much publicity as Carter, but he's going to do his job in office. And now the President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. He is the 39th President of the United States. After he gives his speech, he does not forget President Ford and says a few words about him and gives him a standing ovation. President Carter says he will try to get the country back on its feet and remove the nuclear forces from the earth, and does ask for the people's help. This is KKAD 23 News. It's being people that we follow. Mr. Gilbert with GDTV here. The inaugural day began with the first service on the steps of Lincoln Memorial, featuring Martin Luther King Sr. Next was the coffee break at the White House with President and Mrs. Ford and Jimmy and Mrs. Carter. At 2:30 a.m., the singing of President Carter and Vice President Mondale at the White House began. Following that was the inaugural parade and then the inaugural ball at 7 o'clock. Mr. Gilbert with GDTV signing off. This is Clara Luper's 4th hour prayer, an outstanding prayer. This is Anita Gill for KBLC Channel 6 reporting on the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. The inauguration started at approximately 10 a.m. Thursday, January 20th, 1977. The President came in a blue suit. Amy Carter has her own design for her clothes. The President and Mrs. Carter walked down the middle of the street on the yellow line of Constitution Avenue. Chip Carter and his wife also walked along. It is customary for our old president to ride with the new president to the inauguration. Anita Gill, KBLC Channel 6. This is Nick Lindholm of station KISS, Cincinnati, Ohio, reporting on the inauguration of the 39th President from Washington, D.C. Jimmy Carter gave a 13-minute inaugurational speech and voiced out against ignorance. His speech was worded somewhat like John F. Kennedy. Afterwards, he went to the White House for the first time as president. Later, in the parade, which had 2 exhibits from each state, he got out and walked about a mile and a quarter miles to the end of the parade, where he sat and watched the rest of the parade. President Ford was saying goodbye as president. He had been a president that many opposed, but nobody hated. He waited several minutes before boarding Air Force One to go to California, where he would play in a golf tournament soon. This is George Hitchens for XYO Exchange, Arizona. They swore in Mondale at 10:59. Warren Burger swore in President Carter at 11 o'clock. Ford got a military lead and 21 guns through it. He was against sport. I thought women were going to be a sore loser. Ford and Carter were both wearing dark suits and top coats. Osmond Carter was wearing a green coat, dress suit, something. Mrs. Mondale was in red. Osmond Carter wore the same gown she wore when Jimmy was elected governor of Georgia at the ball. It was 29 degrees in Washington, D.C. Approximately 17,000 people showed up. President Carter and his wife surprised everyone by walking a mile and a half from the Capitol to the White House. Has never been done before. They were surrounded by 60 service agents. Carter, the 39th president. This is Lisa Bryant from Detroit, Michigan station, SPKT Channel 25, reporting on the inauguration of President Carter. After the inauguration speech, Mr. and Mrs. Carter walked 2 blocks from the center of Constitution Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, waiting for the crowd as they passed. His son and daughter-in-law were walking behind him. Later, the little daughter Amy joined hands with Mr. and Mrs. Carter and walked around with them also. Last night they had 7 parties in 3 hours, and Mrs. Carter had wore a dress that she had worn 6 years ago to another party when Jimmy Carter was elected governor. This is Lisa Bryant reporting from Detroit, Michigan, SPKT News. This is the call guy reporting from KNQR TV in Lincoln, Nebraska. Yesterday at 12 o'clock, Washington, D.C. had its 11 o'clock in Lincoln, Nebraska. The beautiful inauguration took place for the 39th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. It was 26 degrees in Washington plus the wind chill, but the occasion was kept warm by the air of 17,000 people filled with the glory of Carter's inauguration. The high point of Carter's speech was when he stated he would not allow ignorance and would try to stamp it out. After he came out of the building in which he was sworn in, he got into a limousine and drove approximately 1 block. When he got out and walked all the way down Constitution Avenue, approximately 1 1/4 miles to the Capitol. He was surrounded by 6 Secret Service agents on the way down. This was one of 2 firsts he set yesterday. The first one was when the First Lady walked down the street towards the Capitol, which has never been done before, and the second was when the President walked all the way. Later that evening, at 8 o'clock, the ball started for the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. $25 a ticket were supposedly bought by the owners of the tickets. Any Carter had its own designer, and every Carter had its own designer to design its wardrobe for the parties that night. Now in office is the largest family since Teddy Roosevelt was in office several years ago. At the same time after the inauguration took place, ex-President Gerald Ford had a red carpet service at the Air Force Base in which his helicopter landed shortly after the inauguration. He got out of the plane and was escorted by Dean Birch and was given a full military arms, 21-gun salute. He was the second shortest president in United States history. The band played patriotic songs such as God Bless America while he was there saying his goodbyes. Ford got on Air Force One with rumors of stars being on there such as Joe Garagiola for a party on board. The Rockefellers also rode to California where ex-President Ford will be in a golf tournament Saturday. Hello, this is Harold Hill, a late with the last station KISC Channel 2, reporting on the presidential inauguration. At the time of the scene, the president, their wives, and the vice president are all being put into limousines. They were very heavily guarded. They are all motorcading down Pennsylvania Avenue of Washington. Soon they will make a turn on Constitution Avenue. The motorcade will end on this street. They will proceed to the Senate room of the Capitol. They are about to make their speeches. Hail to the Chief will be played for President Ford for the last time. They will play Hail Columbia for the President-elect and Vice President-elect. The introduction was by President of the Joint Congressional Committee. Bishop William R. Cannon gave the prayer. The oath will be given to Vice President-elect Walter Mondale. After this, he is Vice President. Earl Alberg is about to give the oath to President-elect Jimmy Carter. After this, he is the President. The President will be introduced once again. Then he will speak. He thanks the people who helped him throughout his race for presidency. He reads the scripture out of the Bible his mother gave him 2 years ago. He speaks of the past, and he speaks of what he should try to do in his next 4-year term. He received a nice round of applause from the people. His speech lasted 13 minutes. A prayer is being given to the 39th President of the United States. The national anthem is being sung. Carter spoke of removing all nuclear weapons from this earth. He is going to make his third reunion speech in a few weeks. Former President Ford has now arrived at the airport. He is being saluted by a 21-gun salute. One of the soldiers escorts him around the airport grounds. Now he returns to his wife, and he thanks his escort. He is flying to California and says he will be making speeches at different colleges. He departs from Washington at 5 after 1. Now we move back to the library where Mr. Carter is leaving to go on another motorcade. They are motorcading down Constitution Avenue. The President and Mrs. Carter are both walking down the street and waving to the people. They are guarded pretty heavily, but not as much as ex-President Ford. Miss Mondale purchased a dress for this occasion for the amount of $6,200. They have moved to Pennsylvania Avenue, where they still are moving on by way of foot. There are all kinds of peanut signs expressing how the people feel about our new president. This is station KIST Channel 2, Harold Hill reporting. This is Rick Creek here, Channel 32, GFJC Newsroom in Guthrie, Oklahoma. The inauguration of the 39th president. Ford will be living in California as a private citizen again. Walter Mondale was sworn in at 11:59 Washington, D.C. time on January 20, 1977. Jimmy Carter was sworn in at 12 o'clock Washington time on January 20th, 1977. He boarded United States Airlines plane at 1:05 January 20th, 1977. After serving 1/2 term, which is 2 years, Carter made a lot of promises that the states will expect him to keep. Carter is 52 years of age. This is Channel 32. GFJC Newsroom in Guthrie, Oklahoma, reporting. This is Russ McKenzie reporting from Clara TV, Channel 16, Helena, Montana. Jimmy Carter was sworn in at 11 o'clock our time, 12 o'clock their time. Today, January 20th, 1977. Walter Mondale was sworn in at 10:59 our time and 11:59 Washington, D.C. time. The time today also, Carter made a lot of promises that we all hope to see come true. One was to ban nuclear power. Many people don't want it to be banned, but Carter is going to do everything he can to ban, whether the people like it or not. Carter is 52 years of age and is in perfect health. As he has shown walking a good mile and a half through the streets of D.C. Surrounding him were crowds of 17,000 people. Secret Service men walked with him. Ford will be living in California as a private citizen again. He boarded the United Airlines plane at 1:05 D.C. time, January 20th, after serving 2 years as president. But the United States will never forget those 2 long years. This is Clara TV, Channel 16, Russ McKenzie reporting. This is David Beck, WVTR, Los Angeles. I'm reporting on the 1977 inauguration. I want to say 2 things about the inauguration. It was traditional and different. Traditional because there were famous words said. The words were traditional, yet they were different traditional words. These words, as Carter said to Mom, we will fight our words against poverty, ignorance, and injustice. For those are the enemies against which our forces can honorably marshal. I think these words will soon become as famous as John F. Kennedy's famous, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yes, this is truly the people's inauguration. This is WVTR, David Beck, Los Angeles. I love you. Pass it on. This is John McGinley reporting from KRXY, Channel 24, South Carolina, Columbia. Jimmy Carter was sworn in at 11 o'clock, January 20, 1977. At age 4, at 21 sleep. Carter made a lot of promise. Ford said that he thinks that Jimmy Carter would do a good job. Jimmy Carter said that he would jog around the White House. This is KRXY, Channel 24, John McGinley reporting. This is Renee Thomas reporting for KATS in downtown Chicago. Jimmy Carter was sworn into office today by Warrenburg at the Capitol at 12 o'clock. He then gave a speech which was relatively short, 13 minutes, but it was optimistic. In it, he gave a salute to Ford, which was warmly welcomed by a crowd of 17,000. He also mentioned the elimination of nuclear weapons. Afterwards, our 39th President, Carter, and his family walked from the Capitol to the White House, carefully guarded by Secret Servicemen, being the first president to ever walk the whole way. 150,000 people lined the streets to watch the parade. There were no mishaps, however, and the procession went smoothly. Tonight, the President and his wife will be visiting different parties until well after midnight. Meanwhile, ex-President Ford was given a 21-gun salute at an airport in D.C. before he left for Mondale, California for a golf tournament, and later to the West Coast to his home and once again civilian life. This is Ryan Parker of KXWX-TV. It is 26 degrees in Washington, D.C. Mrs. Carter dressed elegantly in a green dress with a coat to match. Mrs. Ford dressed in a dress with a fur coat. When President Ford came out, they played Hail to the Chief. President Ford gave greetings to Hubert Humphrey and Rockefeller. Rockefeller will be returning to his home and family to spend time with them. Next came Mondale with a song, 3 Kisses of Red, White, and Blue. Next came Carter with many escorts with the band playing. Next, United States Marine Band played America the Beautiful. Bishop William Hartan gave a prayer after the band played. Jimmy Carter gave a speech and shook hands with Gerald Ford. He says, let us create together a new sense of honesty and trust. After the inauguration, President Ford and his wife, Betty, took up in a helicopter to an airport in Washington, D.C. At the airport, they were given a 21-gun salute. Ford gave farewell greetings to everyone. He and his wife, Rockefeller and his wife, boarded the United States of America plane for the last time and left for California, where Ford will play in a golf tournament on Saturday. Ford says he still plans to be in politics in some way, perhaps go back to Congress. Ford has spent 26 years in Congress. As President Carter and his wife walked in the parade, he said if anybody else can do it, they could. They walked on the yellow line of Constitutional Avenue in Washington, D.C. Behind them, walking was his son Chip and their daughter-in-law. It's very exciting. This is Ryan Parker, President Ford made a 13-minute inaugurational speech, and President Carter and his wife was walking from the Capitol to the White House, and he said, if anyone can do it, it is we. And when he was walking down the street, he's waving at everybody, and the same dress Miss Carter wearing now, she wore 6 years ago when he became governor of Georgia. And Miss Carter said, as he's staying straight, he does 50 push-ups every morning and 50 push-ups every night. And this is Kim Pierce report from TTT Station 9, San Antonio, Texas. Yesterday, on January 20, 1977, President-elect Jimmy Carter gave his inaugural speech, which only lasted about 13 minutes. In a very few minutes, he and the First Lady President walked down the street in Washington, D.C. This is the first time the President and the First Lady ever walked down the street in Washington. By this time, the ex-President, Gerald Ford, was on his way to California to play golf, who his partner was to be Jack Nicklaus. This is KAZB signing out. Hello, this is Tina Day on television station WNK, Baton Rouge Express. The Ford family gets on the plane that says United States of America going to Monterey, California for a golf tournament. There's about 17,000 people and that's the inauguration. And the Capitol Police and Washington Police aren't counted in that 17,000 people. Jimmy Carter and family walk to their destination. Mrs. Carter is the first president's wife to walk to their destination. This has been Tina Day, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Good afternoon. The presidential inauguration took place yesterday, January 20th, 1977, at approximately 10 a.m. President Ford got off the jet plane at 10 o'clock and took his farewell walk, waving goodbye to all his friends. He then received a 21-gun salute. He then boarded his plane and left for golf trip to take place Saturday in Monterey, California. At about the time Ford left, Carter arrived. Carter and his wife, Rosalind Carter, walked hand in hand down the street of Constitution Avenue to get to the White House. Carter was dressed in a bluish business suit, and the First Lady, Rosalind Carter, was dressed in a pretty green dress. It was a 50-cent bag. Starring Carter, daughter of the President, selling limousines and a warm box lunch consisting of 50 sandwiches while her parents took the long cold walk to the White House. It is known that Amy has a wardrobe tailored especially for her. Carter's daughter-in-law is pregnant, so Carter is going to be a grandfather too. This is Donald Carter, TV station BRDM, Rural Arkansas, reporting on the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. This is Eleanor Carter from KAJL, Channel 2 in Kentucky. Thursday, January 20, 1977, President Ford became our ex-president. I believe that the ex-president Ford was hurt a little, but not that much. He was saluted with the 21 salute. Mrs. Betty Ford received a bouquet. They walked down the red carpet at 12 o'clock. President Carter gave a speech. It lasted 18 minutes, but it was very good. Ex-President Ford listened. President Carter and his wife walked from the Capitol a half a mile, waving his hand at everybody. His son Chip joined in the window, while his wife, Mrs. Carter, waved his hand at them. Hello, this is 30 Century Time Edition, JBTC. Who would ever think that our 39th president would have been a peanut for him? Jimmy Carter, yes he was. Jimmy Carter was the first president that ever walked in his inauguration parade. His daughter Jenny will be attending students in elementary school, and she says that everything's working fine right now. Thank you. This is Robert Hudson reporting, WJN-TV, Channel 6 News. For the first time in 25 years, a passenger train passed through Georgia. It not only passed through, but stopped to pick up about 400 people. These people were on their way to Washington, D.C. for the inauguration of the 39th president of the United States. The 400 who boarded the train were mostly from Plains and nearby Sumter County. For a sleeping compartment round trip, it was $260, and for coach, it was $160. The train will go back to Plains on Saturday. The longtime supporter of Jimmy Carter, Maxine Reese, organized the trip. The train, which is nicknamed the Peanut Special, will reach D.C. in about 18 hours. If on time, it will arrive 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. This is Robert Hudson reporting, WJN-TV, Channel 6 News. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jackie Joseph reporting from WXYZ, Channel 3, Springfield, Massachusetts. This is up-to-date news on the inauguration of the president. On January 20, 1977, the world witnessed the president's inauguration in the beautiful state of Washington, D.C. The new president of the United States, President Carter, has made his own history. Today, President Carter walked Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House. Carter said that he would wear blue jeans in the White House, except when he had a visitor from another country. This was the first time that the small town of Plains, Georgia had a train run, and the majority of its people were away from it in over 25 years. We asked Mrs. Carter if all of her family was going to live in the White House with him. She said that her daughter would, and that she would be attending the public school. She wasn't sure if the other two were going to live because one was married home. We asked her if she was going to change the White House in, and she said the furniture was okay except in the family room, that she would like to change the Capitol to the furniture because she would like to be comfortable if she were in her own home. I'd like to thank you. This is Jackie Joseph reporting for WXYZ Channel 3, Springfield, Massachusetts. has been running in and out of the booth all day. She might be a little tired. Amy will not be attending the private school, but public school. She will go next. U.S. Air Force Band, followed by the California float with a big orange on top that looks like a sun. The float from the Virgin Isles is next. Here's the float from Tennessee with Mr. Kentucky. Oh, Mr. Kentucky, riding in front. Colonel Sanders, who's seen from the other float, is we want to show Kentucky to lead. Not followed by the Coast Guard, Merchant Marines, and Lake Will Hastings Band. Good afternoon, Ms. Sanders. Joe Boss reporting for FCK Channel 7, Miami, Florida. Yesterday, Carter attended the inauguration. Jimmy Carter, one of the first presidents to emerge from King Farm and 2030 is now on his way to Washington. Thursday, January 20th, 1977 was a big day for President Carter and his daughter Amy. The inauguration parade lasted 2 hours with floats and bands that came from all over the state. President Carter marched and said riding to the parade. Former President Ford was released from office and now on his way home to California. Jack Ford, Ford's son, announced that if his dad was considered running for president again, he would have to vote against him. Ford, now 63 years old, plans on going to college to make speeches.